in the vast wind-hammered plains of the Mongol steppe, where the sky swallows the horizon and the earth trembles under hooves, a legend rose, one wrapped in fear, ambition, and a hunger for domination unlike anything the medieval world had ever witnessed. This was the court of Genghis Khan, a place where loyalty was absolute. Betrayal meant instant death, and power, both political and personal, was the only true currency. But behind the storms of conquest, behind the thunder of Mongol armies rolling across Asia, lay a hidden world inside the Khan's court, a world governed by twisted expectations, brutal customs, and chilling practices that, even today, feel almost unreal. The empire that reshaped the world was built not only on military genius, but on the rigid, unforgiving, and often disturbing culture that ruled the Khan's inner circle. As the story opens, imagine entering the royal encampment, an endless sea of felt tents stretching like a second city across the grasslands. Guards stand motionless, hardened by brutality and loyalty that border on fanaticism. Inside the Grand Gare, where Genghis Khan held court, the atmosphere is thick with fear and anticipation. Every breath, every whisper, every misstep had the power to decide a person's fate. The Mongol court was astonishingly strict about lineage. A single heir could change the destiny of tribes, alliances, and entire regions. Genghis Khan understood this better than anyone, and he enforced a system that revolved around absolute control of women, marriages, and reproduction. At the heart of this system were the imperial consortswomen whose lives were shaped not by choice, but by power, politics, and the relentless demands of empire. The imperial harem was not like those of Persia or China with silks and palaces. The Mongol version was mobile, guarded, and treated like a military asset. Women captured from conquered cities were often placed under strict supervision, examined not for beauty or talent, but for lineage, potential alliances, and symbolic value. Their fates were sealed the moment they entered the camp. Their lives became bargaining chips in a gigantic geopolitical game. Inside the Khan's inner circle, marriages were not acts of love but tools of domination. Entire noble families were forced to give daughters as a sign of submission. For many, refusing meant obliteration, tribes wiped out, cities burned, bloodlines erased. The Khan's power over court women wasn't personal, it was political. It sent a message: the empire owns everything, even your future generations. But the control didn't end there. Every pregnancy, every child born within the Khan's orbit, was recorded with disturbing precision. The empire tracked lineage obsessively. And those who served in the royal household, the guardians, the elders, the commanders, enforced these rules with brutal loyalty. Any suspicion of disobedience, any whisper of impropriety, could bring immediate execution. Women and men alike lived in constant fear of accusations that needed no proof, only the wrong person's anger. And then there were the rituals, the dark customs believed to ensure loyalty, purity, and political stability. These rituals had existed in steppe culture for centuries before Genghis Khan, but under his rule they became even more rigid. Women taken from noble families were sometimes isolated for long periods, monitored day and night, forbidden contact with outsiders. Their role was defined entirely by the empire's needs, not their own humanity. But the darkest part of the story was the environment of total domination. Genghis Khan believed the loyalty of a defeated people was impossible unless every symbol of their old life was dismantled. That included their nobility, their customs, and even their most sacred family bonds. Women of conquered dynasties often found themselves at the mercy of the Mongol elite, not merely as war trophies, but as living instruments of humiliation against fallen kingdoms. Their status in the court had nothing to do with affection. It was pure political theater. It was about showcasing Mongol supremacy, rewriting lineages, and dismantling old power structures from within. Inside the Khan's royal court, the pressure was constant. The elite commanders, princes, and advisors treated the entire environment like a competition, one where the stakes were dynasties. Decisions about marriages, concubines, and heirs could start wars, end alliances, or elevate a soldier to unimaginable rank. Women were at the center of these strategies, yet they had almost no control over any part of their own destinies. Still, even within this darkness, there were moments of complexity. Some women rose to extraordinary influence, shaping diplomacy and controlling access to the Khan Burt. Genghis Khan's first and most respected wife commanded immense authority. Her sons were the legitimate heirs, meaning every other woman in the court lived under her shadow. And yet even she was trapped in the same world of rigid expectations, political marriages, and relentless scrutiny. As the Mongol Empire expanded, the court's practices became even more intense. More women were taken as symbols of victory, more families were shattered, more alliances were forged through forced unions, and more children were born with the potential to claim lineage from the most powerful ruler on earth. Whispers about the Khan's massive number of descendants, millions alive today, are rooted in these very practices. A system built on control, fear, dominance, and the relentless belief that the empire must grow, generation after generation. By the time Genghis Khan died, his court had become a machine, one that shaped bloodlines across Asia and reshaped the world map. The political decisions made in that tent, the marriages arranged under threat, the women taken as symbols of conquest, all played a role in forming the largest land empire in human history. And the chilling reality? The Mongol court didn't hide these practices, they justified them. They glorified them. To them, it was not horror, it was strategy. It was the foundation of empire. But to us, looking back through centuries of human struggle, it remains one of the most disturbing and haunting aspects of Mongol rule, a reminder that the world's greatest conquerors often ruled not by honor or diplomacy, but by fear, coercion, and absolute control over the most personal parts of human life. The legacy of Genghis Khan is written in ashes, in bloodlines, in broken kingdoms, and in the silent suffering that took place behind the walls of his court. A world where power overshadowed humanity, where fear dictated every breath, and where the fates of thousands were sealed in the name of empire. This is the hidden story behind the legend, the part of history people don't speak about, the part that reveals what conquest truly costs.